Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Banter Blitz with Jan Gustafsson. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? We are doing this today at noon German time, which is probably a terrible time to do stuff. I just looked it up. No one's able to watch at this hour. In Europe, people are either in school or at work. Students are still asleep. So there's not a lot of interest in Europe. In the United States and Latin America, people are definitely still asleep because it's in the middle of the night. And I thought, I didn't really think. I just thought, let's do it early. But now I looked it up. It is afternoon in Australia and China and Hong Kong. The problem is, though, since we normally don't do stuff early in the morning, I'm not sure we have a lot of people over there, so probably we are stuck with the usual company, the damn dirty hippies that are watching this little program. Or you can always watch it on demand on YouTube. On demand sounds slightly wrong, doesn't it? Like, I demand to see this now? It's all there. You don't need to demand anything. Anyway, the format is you challenge me to a blitz game, a 5-minute blitz game, and then we might or we might not play, and I might say wise things about the game, or I might say dumb things about other stuff that enter my little head. No, I don't think my head is that little. It's reasonably big head. It's because of the very heavy brain. It needs space. All right, let's get this train wreck off the ground, and let's start playing Nino from Georgia. Wow, see, all my deep thought was right. We are reaching new demographics. Women and people from Georgia. Can't remember playing either of those demographics a lot. And she's 22-11, which sounds a bit too strong for the first game. Last show, I did embarrass myself in the first game. The first game is one of my many weak spots. Like second game, I'm also bad, and third game, but especially the first game. Anyway, she plays g3, c5, and e3. Very uncommon way to play. I'm not sure what to make of that. This g3 I've seen before, and typically after c5, people go bishop g2 or take. e3 I find slightly surprising. What is the point? If I take here, I guess it has to be ed, because knight d4, just e5. I'm not quite sure what white achieved there. Now g3 doesn't seem... We have a sort of Queen's Gambit Carlsbad structure reversed, but g3 bishop g2 does not strike me as the most challenging setup there, or because it's bishop on g2 doesn't do a whole lot. Anyway, it's a perfectly normal position. We are pretty much out of theory, so Nino did accomplish that if that was her aim. And as usual, when out of book, one should, I'm not saying I always do that, but I think one should try to make normal, natural moves, not obsess too much about what the perfect solution is. Because especially in a blitz game, not gonna get there anyway. 94 looked tempting to exploit this pin, and of course she can break it by going h3, g4. But that leaves some weaknesses. 95, I guess I should I take? It's interesting actually, very non-standard stuff. I guess I should take. Take here, queen d2, rook c8, c3. What's going on there? Not sure. White does have this plan of f4, f5, which bothers me a little bit. Not crazy scared, but I have to do something about it at one point or another. Rook c1, similar story. Bishop g5, f4 doesn't quite work. So what can I do? Pin, king h2, does that achieve anything? It's also complicated. What's going on here? First game and all this thinking already being demanded of me. Could go h5, I guess, but then after f4, what's going on there? I don't know. It looks mildly interesting, though. Not sure it is mildly interesting. So, playing slowly and weakly. My only weaknesses are hungry and sleepy. Once again, might come back to haunt me. An expression I use a lot, I don't really understand, because I'm not quite sure what the word haunt means, literally. Let me look it up so we learn something. Haunt. German. That sounds wrong. Haunt German. It means to chase, basically, right? But it's not like a literal chase, but more of a mental chase. Is that it? I believe that's it. While Nino is taking her time here. I'm just assuming she's a woman, by the way, from the picture. You never know these days on the internet. We've all been catfished before. Another word, I'm not exactly sure what it means. Anyway, h5, f4 is what I'm trying to work out. hg, hg, queen b6 check when I think king h2. Then I need some fast way to get my rook to the h file, but I can't really figure it out yet. So I was thinking about something like f5, then e f6, bishop f6, bishop f6, rook f6. With a weird position, I'm not sure you guys are following, but queen e2, that's a little slower than what I thought. Okay, I'll take once, expecting hg. And now I'll go for this queen b6. My point mainly being that I'm threatening bishop g5 and hoping that she misses it. Another point being that I have to make some moves at some point in order to not lose on time. But yeah, queen e2 struck me as a little slow because yeah, f4 is what white has to do in this structure. Now king h2 does parry my devious threat of bishop to g5, which is very sad because I don't really have a backup plan. Can I come up with a backup plan? Not sure. Probably just aimlessly move around. With hindsight, but I do not possess that gift. I should probably have gone for queen a5 immediately with the king still on g1. a4, bishop b4, f4, bishop c3, takes. This f5 is still bothering me. I have bishop d2 after f4, leading to a very strange position. Because I think white has to go f4, bishop d2, f5, bishop c1, rook c1. When that's probably excellent. Rook c1, I get ef. So bishop c1, bishop c1. And that's probably excellent compensation for the exchange. But yeah, it's a very weird position. c3 can't I take? I'm worried to blunder stuff, but I don't see it. Takes. Queen d2, I have... Anyway, I should take and then think. That's the approach I've taken all my life. But yeah, I don't see any tricks. Queen e1, I can just go rook fc8 or d4. Queen d2, I have rook h3. So c3 was probably wrong. And yeah, this f4 line I was talking about did look a little more critical. How are we doing on the clock? Is this how are we doing? Is it obnoxious, by the way? Is it like speaking of yourself in the third person? I don't know. Probably it is. This endgame does look winning, though. Now, the prospect of limiting my bishop with f4, f5 has passed. I do get the open file, and the white pawns are fairly weak. So this does seem reasonably straightforward, I would say. Rook to c3. There's not a whole lot that white can do about it. I would guess, at least. Maybe e4, but no, just take. Yeah, this is pretty much over. Yeah, I thought e4 might be the best fighting chance, but it also doesn't really change the situation. Rook c3 is just too annoying. Two pawns should be enough. Try to make it 3, just, just in case. e5 or rook e5, doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is a pretty good rook endgame. Because My rule of thumb on rook endgames is if you are up a bunch of pawns, you're probably gonna win. And it did hold up in this game. Anyway, thanks for the game, Nino Kordzadze. Tough fight there early in the weird strategic situation. I'm not quite sure what was going on. Let's find another Nuba. Same old faces. My whole calculus to do this at a weird time. To find someone new did not really add up. But we have somebody from Australia. Enya. Enya. What's the ... for? Malenia Trump? And you didn't want to spell out the MAL? No, probably that's not it. Enya. Only thing I associate with Enya is some German pop singer from the 90s. Or is she German? I don't even know. Irish. See? We claim everything for our lack of culture. So I even thought Enya was a German pop singer. Anglicized as Enya Patricia Brennan. Anyway, let's talk about the game while I do my Enya research on the side. After c4, dc4 is not so common in this position where white played knight f3 instead of knight c3. I've had many years panicking about this pawn being captured, me never seeing it back. And I wouldn't say that phase has completely passed. After b5, a4, I do know that I'm getting it back, so that's not so worrying. At some point I was very freaked out about bishop e6 here, when you can't go knight g5, since then queen a5 check picks up the knight. But after studying it at some point, bishop e6, you realize that if white just develops with knight c3, bishop e2, the bishop is sort of silly on e6, so it's worth a pawn. That's why this line never really caught on. There's some theory here, I believe a6 takes b3, bishop b4 check. Sorry, yeah, e6 takes b3, bishop b4 check. It's considered to be not very good, but it does lead to a double-edged position. Bishop b4, bishop d2 takes, a5, bc4, b4. Knight c6 is legal, but now white just gets his pawn back without any inconvenience. So white should be bad, because the a7 pawn is weak. I do have the majority in the center. Things are looking fairly decent. And I do understand that I probably know more theory or more stuff than Enya about this position. Enya rating it 1464. But still gotta give what I think, right? That is the gig. I still have no idea what the gig is after doing this for. I think I've done more than 100 Banter Blitzes by now, if we count all the Germans and the extracurricular activities and the ones I did on live stream before they were on YouTube. But I still don't have a clue. That's the bottom line. Not that I think I don't know what I'm doing. I think I still don't have any thought about how much commentary should be chess, how much should be non-chess, how high the chess level commentary should be. All that nonsense. Basically, I'm saying just winging it. As I'm winging this game, I want to go e4, but then bishop b4 could be a bit annoying. e5, I also don't see anything in particular. So I need a change of plans. Not sure how to arrange my pieces, actually. Bishop a3 you could argue for, but then all my pieces are kind of hanging. And loose pieces drop off, as I've learned from an old John Nunn book, LPDO. So I always try to avoid that scenario. But upon closer inspection, after bishop a3, rook a3, not that many hanging pieces. I can go queen a1, defend the rook and the knight, and put some pressure on a7 in the process, and I'll do my very best not to blunder the bishop on c4. Bishop b4, what's that about? Does that allow me any cuteness? Like bishop b5, bishop c3, bishop c6, bishop a1, bishop a8. I don't know, that looks fun. Let's do it. I am Preciso says Nena was from the 80s, not 90s though. Well, I was talking about Enya, not Nena. I'm very familiar with Nena. Nena lives in my street. I've never seen her, but I have it on good authority. We do live in the same street. I'm guessing her mansion is slightly bigger than mine, but we're working on that. So, yeah, Nena, I'm familiar with, but I was never really much of a 99 Luftballons kind of guy. But maybe I did mix her up with Enya. I don't know. Bishop b5, bishop b7. Now let's do the math. Bishop c6, winning material, right? That's the math. Because in the resulting captures, bishop c3, bishop b7, bishop a1, bishop a8, I would have captured more pieces. Well, now I just took a free bishop on b4. Even though there's opposite colored bishops, what's more important in this position is the fact that I have an extra knight, which overrules the drawing tendencies of the opposite colored bishops. See, pearls of wisdom. And I am Preciso is winging it at work early in the morning. Where is I am Preciso from? You're Spanish, right? Oh no, he's from Chile. There it's super early, isn't it? Because I was gonna say, like, I do kind of agree that it's early at work, but it is past noon, so not technically true. But in Chile, what time is it? Chile, it's insanely early, right? Chile time. Is that how you Google it? 8:17. That is how you Google it. Well, Google has become pretty smart. 8:17 is early. Between you and me, and probably everybody else, I don't think... No, that's not true. I've probably been here at 8:17 like once or twice, but literally no more than that. Like, my office hours aren't as crazy late as they used to be here in the Chess24 headquarters in Hamburg. But normally it's still, I show up around, I don't know, 10:30 or 11 most of the time, which is kind of human. Would still have been early for me in my 20s, but now that I have a little kid that kind of doesn't care that I like to sleep late and is very awake and willing to be entertained at 7, it's doable. And yeah, 8:17 in Chile, that is too early. What did Enya do? Why do I associate Enya? I associate her with this, some enigma, some German thing, but I'm probably way off on that. Enya, enigma. Oh no, I'm not that off. See? Enya and enigma are diemos. And enigma is a German duo, right? I don't know why I'm looking for this German angle. I'm just, yeah. See. Okay, this is a German dude called Michael Cretu. Okay, we've all learned nothing. Except for, someone told me this the other day, or made the observation, that music in the early 90s was really, really bad. I'm not sure if that's true. Like, probably started listening to music in the early 90s. I believe I started out with Roxette, Joyride, stuff like that. Which, I don't know, I thought they were good at the time. But, yeah, it was... What was music in the early 90s? We still had Queen and stuff, right? Some of those were good. But popular music... yeah, I guess it was kind of weird. Then... Yeah, I don't know. Music-wise, I went through weird phases for at first. I don't know. Did I get into heavy metal, Guns N' Roses? Well, I'm not sure if that's heavy metal or extreme. Europe, all these weird kind of soft heavy metal bands from the early 90s, late 80s. Metallica. Then at some point I got into whatever. I'm not sure if you call this punk rock. Ramones and stuff like that. Before plateauing, pivoting to hip-hop, which, yeah, kind of emerged. At least in my world, in the mid-90s. I'm aware, it's been around earlier. And yeah, I haven't managed to develop a new music taste since. I'm sure you guys are very interested in Teenage Jan reminiscing about his confusion about music. Teenage Jan was a good chess player, though. We did win the German Kids Team Championship under 12 in 1991. I think that's the first thing I won. Then I individually, well, I need some time. I think I won German Championship under 15 in 94, under 17 in 97. That's about it. Bardan Adam doesn't seem to be here, so I can continue going through my lack of achievements. And thinking about early 90s music. We have all these terrible programs on German TV, which I never watched though, which is like D-celebrities, reminiscing about stuff that happened in the 90s. Maybe I should pay some more attention, because I really can't recall a lot of cultural things. We didn't have the internet in those days. Believe it or not. You probably believe it. You know what? I'll play Alisto. I'm sure I've played him before, but he's been around for years, it feels like. And he deserves a crushing every now and again, so that he remains humble. Nirvana was big indeed. I did have their Smell... No, what's it called? The album with the baby on the cover? Not Bleach, but the second one. Nevermind. The one with Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, that one we listened to forever. That was sort of, when CDs started coming out, right? Because I started with, what's it called? MCs? Micro cassettes? I don't even know what MC stands for. Not Master of Ceremony. But tape decks. But I think Nirvana, I had the CD. That must have been compact disc times already. Times are changing, eh? For you young people watching. We used to purchase things that could only play like 10 songs. That was all that was stored on it. People spent a lot of money for it. Like more money than you spend for stuff now. Alisto is playing b6 here, which is asking for cruel and unusual punishment, if you ask me. Bishop f4 or knight takes c6 followed by bishop f4, but I think I'll go for this first. Because after e5, something should emerge. Bishop e5, for example, seems to work. And if he has to go queen b7, first of all, he's going to hate himself. And secondly, I might start continue asking questions with knight cb5. Something along those lines. This seemed to be the smallest evil, but after queen e5, knight c6, at the very least I won a pawn with an ongoing initiative. Well, knight e5, bishop a8 is an exchange. And an exchange is not pocket change, is something I have never said so far, but I'm going to start saying it. Not only did I get that exchange, he's also slightly underdeveloped. I mean, on the chessboard. Never met the man. But I have a feeling that can be exploited as well if I continue putting some pressure. Knight d5 looks cute. Queen a8, knight c7. And if knight d5, bishop d5, let's say knight e5, something bad should happen to him before he finishes development. I don't know what yet, but f4 or knight f5. Something should happen. The Marov is saying 90% of Western music is decadent, apart from classical music. Don't say any smart stuff here. Like words like decadent are way over my head already. I think in this Hesse book that I'm hearing, because I'm not really reading, he's saying the same thing. Like, and that's like 90 years ago. That sometimes he gives in to the pleasures of decadent jazz music, even though, of course, it's not a real pleasure compared to classical music. So this notion has been around for a while. But yeah, since I don't really know the definition of decadence, even though I have a feeling it's something I would enjoy, I can't elaborate much on that. What band in Germany make punk rock? Oh, we had some good bands, or not good bands maybe. Like there's the commercial bands, like, that might be doing them wrong. The successful bands, Tote Hosen and Ärzte, I think you can. Well, it's pop punk, whatever. But those are the most famous ones. And I enjoyed some weird stuff like Abstürzende Brieftauben, Einstürzende Neubauten. Those are probably not very popular. I don't know though. I think they're still around. As for the game, Alisto is kind of still around, but he's in exchange down and the position down, so he's not really around, if we're being honest. Bit of an opening disaster. You just can't play queen c7, a6 and b6 in that order, and therefore he resigns. Here. Queen c7, in my opinion, is not a good move here. Normally queen c7 is only good if you haven't played knight c6 yet, if you want to put pressure on c4 instantly. The main lines are queen b6 or bishop c5 or even d5 maybe, or bishop b4. Anyway, many better moves, but queen c7, bishop g2, a6, okay. Castles here, black really has to play a setup like this. Let's say this. I would go rook c1 and put this knight on g6 before something bad happens with knight d5. Well, I think white is better, but it's sort of playable. While, yeah, b6 is just a blunder. Thanks for the game, though, Alisto. See, a bunch of non-premium challenges, which I'm not allowed to accept. I'm so sorry. Go premium, boys and girls. It is a very good investment, in my slightly biased, but also very experienced opinion. For €9 a month, no spoiler, but if you were to hire a chess coach, he would probably not charge €9 an hour, let alone a month. You get access to thousands of hours of videos of me and smarter people than me, like Peter Svidler, Vishy Anand. So many. Too many to name. One of my favorites is the Artur Yusupov series. Teaching you stuff. Anyway, I have to crush Auctioneer while I was reminiscing about premium, and he did play a very drawish line, which is a bit of a pity. The c3 followed by d4. Here, it's tough for black to keep the game going, because the best way to play is bishop takes d2, followed by d5, ed, knight d5, and if he goes queen b3, which I have a feeling he will, then after knight a5, queen a4 check, knight c6, queen b3, repeats the position. So you have to play knight e7 in order to play for a win, after which white is supposed to be slightly better, because white is so active and the black pieces are a little clumsy. And clearly none of this is news to Auctioneer. Bit of a cynical repertoire, but I can't say I haven't been doing very similar things, like giving stronger players on paper the option to repeat moves or to accept a slightly dodgy position. Here I'm a little concerned, not too concerned, but a little concerned that bishop f7 might be good. He goes bishop d3. When do I go here? Knight e5, bishop e6, knight g5, let's say h6. Yeah, let's try to spice it up a bit. Bishop e6 followed by bishop d5, let's say, was the most normal way to play. But bishop g4 at least could be asking some questions potentially, which is always nice to do. I'm so curious. Junior chess team says knight takes e4 and king f8 is a good way of playing. You get a better endgame. That is not true, junior chess team. I have explored that option, but that endgame is a little better for white, unfortunately. Not for black. He's talking about this position after bishop d2. You can take on e4. I'm aware of that option, but I don't think it's better for black at all. Oops, did I screw something up? I fixed it. Knight e5 played, bishop e6 was my cruel intention. Queen c2, can I take here? Then knight g5, yeah? Does look a little annoying. Looks like he found a pretty strong reaction, frankly. Yep, that is unpleasant. Guess I have to go h6, but then knight c5 and a lot of humble pie to be eaten. I have to think after knight c5. I probably have to go queen d4, but I don't like it at all. Rook 81 is also legal. Yeah, this hasn't gone according to plan, to be honest with y'all. Rook ba was bad. I was intending knight c5, bishop d5, but I missed knight to d7. Oh no, I didn't. See, I'm freaking out. It's early in the morning, that's my excuse. Even though that's not really true. But yeah. Knight to d7 is not much of an issue yet. Still, my position is worse. These knights are so dominant, And I only have one good square for my pieces, which 3 of my pieces would like to occupy. This knight, and this bishop. So it's not an ideal situation. And bishop e4, funnily, might help with that a bit, because now I can get rid of one of the pieces I want to place here. So it's only 2 left that are demanding this square. The knight on b6 is a bit misplaced, so next order of business would be to go knight f6 and then go knight bd5. And, you know, one day I might be done trying to shuffle my pieces around and can think about doing something active. But that day has not yet come. Sounds like we're discussing the Barcelona game in the chat. I have to admit, well, I follow pretty much zero football, so I just read about it, that they lost 4-0, and then they won 6-1, was it? Scoring 3 goals in the last 5 minutes or whatnot. I'm gonna look that up. That does sound like a pretty amazing finish. But yeah, I'm not a big football guy, even though I did go to a school next to Barcelona in Catalonia as a very young boy. So I've always been a Barca guy, historically, because didn't really have a choice in Catalonia. And not that I wanted a choice, I'm just, not a big football guy at all. But yeah, I think not that it affects me much, but it makes me slightly happier if Barcelona wins and Madrid doesn't do well. Speaking of doesn't do well, I'm really struggling in this game where I'm passive, and these white knights are kind of dark knights for me because they're casting a dark shadow all over my position. Does that make any sense? Nah. Rook g3, I guess what he wants, threatening queen h6. I couldn't see any particular breakthrough after king h7, but it certainly feels like I have to proceed with great care. Is this just a check? Still unpleasant. I have a feeling I probably should go f5, which of course is weakening, especially weakens the g6 square, but I didn't want to go like whatever, king h8, queen g4, when his initiative keeps looming. Well, f5 at least claims some space. Of course, at a high price. Weakening g6, can no longer challenge the knight on e5. So yeah, so far, our dear boy auctioneer has been kind of outplaying me. But you know, there's always Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm not lost yet, I would guess. So I'm still in high spirits, would be a lie, but not hopeless, not despairing. I'll just... Should I get out the way? I'm not sure. Knight g5 check doesn't really look like much of a threat, so I'll play some half-useful move. See what he wants to do. Maybe he wants rook e5. Rook f8 wasn't. Not sure that qualifies as even half-useful. But you know how it is. You just gotta make moves once in a while. Can't go here. I'm so scared. My plan is to threaten knight g6. This is hopefully just a check. Okay, still go knight g6, queen h6. Ugh, it's so complicated. I don't know, man. Too complicated for me. I couldn't really figure out knight g6, queen h6 when I can't take on e5 because of queen g7. So I thought I might as well prepare it. But rook e1, another strong move, because now knight g6, here's rook e8 check. Rook f8. Ugh, you can see how physically painful all this calculating is. I also have to speed up a little bit. So let's do that. Ugh, missed that. Very confusing game. Am I still hanging in there? Hanging around? I guess he pre-moved knight c5, expecting me to play a4. Knight takes a5 was better there. And yeah, great game by Auctioneer. As usual, the dirty, doing barely the minimum to win on time job got done. I understand it's a messed up job, but somebody's gotta do it. Do we have more challengers? We do actually. I thought, let's do one at whatever time was, noon. And I'll have 3 challengers, and then we can all go home. Did not work out. Speaking of did not work out, I did not work out for a couple days now. I need to get in Thai shape, so it's a problem. Let's play a low-rated player. And next game I'll try to find someone high-rated. Our friend Daini Under Pute. Sorry if I can't make sense of that. In spite of all my Norwegian studies, no idea what that means. 1081, which means I'm a favorite. I will play the Trompovsky. In opening, I've always had some sympathy for. I believe black is fine after d5, especially after d5. But it's always an opening I liked, and one that I might play occasionally. Yes, I'm not sure. A bit of a surprise weapon. So bishop e7, the critical move after e4 is h6. Even though some people might argue d5 is critical to h6, forcing me to give up the bishop pair. Well, now after bishop e7, I have time to support my center by going bishop d3. When most likely we will get some pleasant version of some French structure. Even though I might go for, I call it Fika style because it's how my friend Szachunsky likes to play. I might go for some cruel and unusual punishment. Teaching Die Neanderpute a lesson about the bishop takes h7 sacrifice, which I'm not sure this lesson's gonna work, but the point of h4 is that now, after knight g5, hg, you recapture with check. The h1 rook joins the attack, and this tends to be checkmate after queen h5. f5, you shut the doors with g6, followed by queen h8 or queen h7. f6, similar story. There's very little you can do about the looming checkmate. I said I'm not sure if this works, because here after king h6, I'm not so sure if there is actually a win. Often in these structures you still have a light squared, or after this idea, you still have a dark squared bishop, so king h6 doesn't work. But here, not so sure, frankly. Might very well not work, actually. The king is a bit bad, but I can't see direct punishment. Maybe queen d2. Maybe it's still good for white. Not sure. Anyway, that was more testing because bishop g5. Yeah, that's why I played this h4, which is of course a bit of a ridiculous move, but it's asking some questions. And even if black goes h6, you can often ignore this and go hg. So yeah, it's, I don't know, typical attacking pattern, I would guess. All right, let's try to find an even stronger player. What about Sacrificial 64 from the Germany? Sacrificial. I hope that's not literally sacrificial. because I'm very scared when they sacrifice stuff. On the other hand, since I like grabbing stuff so much, especially pawns, grabbing stuff might sound a little weird, I can never resist. He plays knight bd7, very en vogue, because after bishop f4, nowadays they like this dc, e3, b5 idea. Bishop b4 is also legal. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do, frankly. If I'm supposed to go cd or start with e3 against bishop b4. In this move order, yeah, I honestly do not know. Very aggressive, e3, c5. Not sure. It's a line I should have studied at some point. Never have. And queen b3 feels wrong already. The very moment I played it, I thought, this feels wrong. But, you know, sometimes you gotta take the loss and continue. b5, whoa. Maybe that's the punishment. See? It's the sacrificial. Putting pressure from the get-go. Am I in trouble? Feels like I'm in trouble. Nice trick for sure. cd, c4. No, this is just crushing, huh? There's no way out. Come on, I deserve a way out. Maybe there is no way out. Queen c2 or a move like that is just too sad to even play. And a3 doesn't help me either, because I can just take on c4. Nah, nice trick. I had a bad feeling about queen b3, but I've never seen this one. And now he says hi. Yeah. We'll talk later. Let me figure this out. Don't distract me. Well, there might be nothing to figure out. It might just be resigns. But clearly, I'm not gonna do that. Oof, it's so bad, though. Yeah, learn something new here. This just doesn't work at all. He can go CD, ED, DC, and he's gonna emerge a piece up pretty much for no compensation. But all the other options just seemed too sad to contemplate. So I went for this. But yeah, what can I say? Kudos for nice trick. Did not see this b5 motive. Or, well, probably I didn't see the bishop d3, queen b3 motive, because it's pretty bad. I will live and learn. One question, obviously I have to do something quickly. But after, let's say, queen a6, the problem is if I give this check, then not only does he lose the right to castle, but I have to give up the right to castle myself too, which kind of makes my compensation even less existing than it would otherwise be. Might have to go back. It's all fairly sad, but what can you do? Now I want to give a check and then hopefully castle away. But obviously it's not enough for a piece. How many pawns do I have? Do I have one pawn or two pawns? Two? I don't know, I can't count. Rook d8. That's too good a square. You think about, if you want to stay on that square, probably he should just go bishop b7 and give me an exchange, but then my material disadvantage becomes kind of manageable. Yeah, he does go rook e8, but now I could either go bishop d6 or continue asking questions with knight d6. I think I'll keep my options open for now in castle. Why did I do that? Ugh, that was dumb. He can go king f8, I would guess. Bishop c3, it's high time to throw this check in. Yeah, still doesn't feel like fully enough, but hanging around. Queen d6, I have knight f7. Well, knight e5, de5. I was hoping that with this bishop cemented here in the heart of the black position, there should be sort of enough compensation. Or who knows if it's enough, but there should be some compensation. Bishop d5 might be strong though. Missed bishop d5. But even then, the game continues. Queen c2 or queen b1 or whatever. Ah, yeah, bishop d5 is strongest. Knight e4 immediately. I was planning to go here. Just checking. Queen e2 is not crushing. And bishop d5. Maybe I can go rook d5 now. I'll figure it out when we get there. Or probably I won't figure it out, but I'll do something. Yeah, you only live once. Is that true? Do you only live once? Yeah, I think that's the established school of thought, right? King c7 looks like a blunder. Knight c8, and I'm still scrambling, trying to find enough compensation for the piece. But king c7, now I can take with check, and that turns the tables a bit. Dodged a bit of a bullet there, the b5 bullet, leaving me lost with white out of the opening, which is a bit of a rare achievement, really, with the white pieces. Well, now, yeah, things have changed, and sacrificial 64. Probably not happy about this turn of events after pretty much crushing me with knowledge. He says good enough. I'm not sure what that means. Did I play good enough? And resigns. Yeah, even here, one move before the end. After knight c8, I'm probably still in real big trouble, actually. But yeah, king c7, ed does turn the tables, and my opening play should not be repeated. Queen b3, I had a bad feeling about this the moment I played it. I have to look it up. I have a feeling now that even already after bishop b4 I was a bit sloppy, and that's probably more precise to go cd, ed, and then either queen c2 or e3 or a3, one of these moves. Anyway, yeah, after b5 here I was pretty much lost in the opening, and then, you know, had to hang around. Thanks for the game, sacrificial 64. And I'll play my boy Ice-T. Ice-T featured in a Rick and Morty episode. Like, letting me see him in a new light. Speaking of early 90s music, as little kids, of course, we did listen to, what's called, first IT things, Body Count? I think it was a Body Count. Yeah, I can't say I'm a big expert on his movie career or on his, what's the show called? What's the Ice-T TV show that's been on forever? Something like Special Weapons and Tactics? No, that's SWAT. What's it called? Law and Order SVU? Ice-T TV show. My favorite Ice-T version is probably the version, the parody, whatever you call this, that Paul F. Tompkin does on Comedy Bang Bang. Paul F. Tompkin, big genius anyway, big hero of mine, and his Ice-T parody is hilarious. I'm not even gonna dare to try to imitate it. But yeah, if you have too much time on your hands, certainly check that out. Bishop g4, he hasn't played c5 yet, which I'm wondering if there's anything I can do about that, try to stop it. Probably not. Probably now c5 is still very much legit and would get him a fine Grunfeld position. And I might have played back-to-back bad queen b3s in the opening. I believe there's something to this theory that if you just played a move in a recent game, be it Blitz or a tournament game, then you do have a higher likelihood, is that a word? Then it's more likely that you're gonna repeat it in an upcoming game because the pattern is fresh in your mind and it doesn't matter so much if it's good or bad. Not sure if that's what happened here with queen b3, but I've read that theory somewhere, and I do believe that it's true. Actually, maybe Ice-T has nothing to do with the rapper slash actor slash OG Ice-T. Maybe he just enjoys his iced tea. From the picture, it certainly looks like that. Also looks like this is one of these unsweetened iced teas, which consists of actual tea with water. Not a fan of those. I've consumed a lot of, can't name brands here, who cares? A lot of Lipton Ice and Nest tea in my day. But I was never a fan of this stuff. I think they mainly serve it in the US, this iced tea with a D. Because it's too bitter. Who are we kidding? We need this stuff sweetened. This looks... I was gonna say it looks like a good version of the Grunfeld. The second I castled, I thought, that was a little imprecise. I should have gone e5 here. You want to go e5 to unleash this bishop ASAP, because now after wherever I go, let's say I go here, Black can probably still play e5 himself, try to cripple my bishop. I guess I'm still better, but it's something I could have avoided by just starting with e5. And now is the time. Of course, with e5, we're sort of programmed to think, or some of us, me included, are programmed to think, this is a little dodgy. It limits my own dark square bishop, and it gives up the d5 square, but especially against these two pieces. It's restricting black so much that white should really go for this instantly. a6 is a blunder, but that's sort of undermining my point even after knight b6, whatever, rook b1, followed by a4. White was in great shape. Here, once again, all the positional considerations go out the window because I can just grab material. Yeah, Ice-T sees what he's done there. Should have had a coffee before the game, Ice-T. You need that caffeine. It's like legal doping. This is another very unproven theory that I read somewhere. And if it's written somewhere, it must be true. I believe at least those are the times we're living in. If it's written somewhere, or if you heard it somewhere on TV, you can at least assume that it's true or that it's false, depending on your set of beliefs. Anyway, I read somewhere that coffee increases your strength 10%, pretty much no matter what you do. If you gotta think, if you gotta do sports, if it's stamina or strength. Then again, it's a bit of a drug. And I have a feeling I might be slightly addicted to coffee. I'm not sure if that's true, because I don't feel big difference in the morning if I don't have one. But when doing these shows, I don't know. I'm more comfortable if there's something I can hold on to. I mean, Ice-T's pieces are doing a pretty good job of giving me something to hang on to, but this mug really helps as well. Queen b2. All right, let's get this over with. Queen c8 is faking to attack the c4 pawn, but my main aim is to go here. He saw through my devious plan. The problem is still that he's a rook down with a bad position. Therefore, there will be blood, but it's taking longer than I wanted it to take. So, how do we get the job done? Job done, Bogdanovic. He's a basketball player. might have been more elegant ways to get this done. It's one weakness I detected about myself, and I'm not being facetious here. I'm bad at actually giving mate, which normally is not so important because, yeah, you're a bunch of material up or whatnot. But with my recent bullet addiction, I figured that I'm not very good at ending the game very quickly. Like here, I've done a reasonable job, I believe, with this g4. Not that it was necessary. Actually, yeah, this was not such a tough way to give mate either. Anyway, thanks for the game, Ice Tea. And yeah, in these Grunfelds, first of all, go c5 ASAP. Like, go c5 here, who cares? If I can take on b7, you still have to do that. And what else was I gonna say? Yeah, knight d7, bit passive. But in these positions, you really want to go e5 now to restrict this bishop. Because once this e5 happens, black's position is pretty much hopeless. Or maybe that's strong, but it's really bad. Thank you for the game. Sorry for all the amps. I'm like becoming very Boris Beckerish. That's what you get for doing these things early. Normally, like, I have hours to work on this script. Nah, I'm not even gonna believe that myself, of stuff I'm gonna talk about. Let's play the Commutator. I never played the Commutator. I recall seeing that name. Maybe I tried once and you weren't with us? Anyway, let's do it now. Commutator. What's the commute? It's like you live in the outskirts of the city and you commute to work. Is that what it means? The Commutator? The Commutator. I played 3f3 against the Grunfeld / King's Indian. It's mainly directed against the Grunfeld, and one thing that comes with the territory is that if black plays a King's Indian, you have to play the sameish because you're already committed to f3. The main point is that here after d5, you don't have a knight on c3 that can be exchanged. And after bishop e3, e5, I have limited experience with these positions. Knight e2, knight c6 is not a move you see often. c6, I believe, is more common. So yeah, I'll go d5, close the center, and now I'm already out of ideas. g4 feels like the most ambitious way to play. I'm not sure if this is correct. You could also try to play on the queen side, c5, whatever. Try to get this knight out of the way, or just put the knight on g3, and then go for c5. But g4 felt interesting. Preparing to park my knight here, and then, depending on the circumstances, go for a kingside attack, or just play for space advantage. All over the place. Sometimes these g4s, they're not so much attacking moves, but more prophylaxis against black's often main plan of going f5, which is a lot harder if white has g4, knight g3. Firstly, yeah, it's just harder to accomplish, and secondly, you might run into a white attack then after gf, followed by rook g1 in the distant future. That's why the Commutator probably rightly starts doing some stuff on the queen side. I'm guessing he wants to go a6, b5. When I still have to make up my mind. As I said, I'm not really playing for an all-out attack yet, so I might very well start doing battle on the queen side as well. Let's say a6, knight g3, b5. I could think about going b4, followed by a4, trying to create some weaknesses there. Complicated position, but I do like my setup here. Knight c8. That looks a little too subtle. You know what? Might as well continue building up a bit on the queen side, king side. Now that he's played h4, I want to go h5, and then hopefully checkmate him, or if not checkmate him, at least cripple his pieces a little bit. Sometimes, even here, you just want to go h6, g5, stuff like that. What I'm really saying is, I don't know any better, but I like my position. Knight b6, I think I'd rather have played queen a5 first, so that there's some more active options on the queen side. Now he's probably going to go rook c8, but I have a feeling that after b3, the black pieces don't have a lot of places to go. Not sure b3 is necessary. Knight c4 was not a massive threat, but might as well take a timeout to limit his active options. Because now, yeah, this knight doesn't really have anywhere to jump. The queen doesn't have a lot of active squares. So it's a very tough position to play with black. Well, it's not clear if I'm threatening anything. But I might be threatening something that is annoying to deal with. Therefore, he decides to try to mix it. And I don't blame him for that decision. It might be a good practical decision. By leashing out, going bishop takes g4, changing the nature of the play. Most famous bishop takes g4 I can remember in recent times in a sort of similar position was by Magnus Carlsen against Arkady Neidich in a game he went on to lose. Famous for the MVL tweets, hashtag bishop x g4 WTF, where yeah, Carlsen did this in sort of similar situation. It changes the flow of the game. You only get 2 pawns for the piece. But as I said, under these circumstances where the black position was not very appealing, I think it might have been a very good decision. Because now I have to defend, not my favorite pastime, to be honest with you. And the commutator is putting pressure. Do I keep this bishop, for example? And where and how? Bishop g5 looks natural, but then queen b6. See, I'm panicking already. I don't know. Exchange some pieces? Not sure. Still doesn't feel enough, but at the risk of repeating myself for the 10th time, I like his decision now. Queen takes or not? Queen takes, I'm slightly hesitating because it allows queen a5 check, but see no evil, hear no evil. What are we talking about? Checking in the chatsters. It's uncountable for him with a tie. Aronia loves it. Is Levon wearing a lot of ties? I like ties, but I felt... I'm not sure. I change my opinion on dressing stuff all the time. But I felt like I should have some sort of distinction. This all sounds way too self-involved, even for my standards. No, I thought it doesn't make sense to always wear a tie during these quote-unquote casual banter blitzes, because I should have some level of dressing up to go to when we do whatever official events or live commentary. So I'm gonna save the ties for TIES for those events for now. I don't know. I might be wearing a tie next show. No clue. But yeah, they do sort of feel slightly more comfortable not to wear a tie. But I do think that one looks a bit more, what's the word, distinguished wearing a tie. I don't know. I change my opinion on stuff every other day. And privately, probably I'm closer to Radio Jan's dressing style than to Suit Jan's dressing style. Knight takes b3? You were doing such a good job, Commutator, putting pressure, and then you just give me that knight? I don't get it. Might be missing some trick, but I honestly don't see it. Just play rook f3, keep attacking my pieces, and I was gonna crumble. Well, now, yeah. You need more people. Which is, incidentally, what Shaquille O'Neal tweeted at JaVale McGee in their Twitter feud. See, those are the things I'm studying. Hashtag you need more people by Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know, I bought some weird thing. Salmiak, is that what it's called? Which, first of all, they make your teeth very dark. Secondly, they're very addictive. And thirdly, I believe they are bad for digestion. Whoa, knight f2. Missed that. Brilliancy. Just because it amuses me. I do understand this probably loses material. But mainly because it's legal and it's funny. I'm gonna castle. Problem is it does lose a lot of material. Now I'm probably worse. High price to pay for that funny castle move. But yeah, I kind of knew I was winning on time. But shout out to the Commutator for finding this trick, knight f2, which of course I had missed. Point being that after king f2, bishop g5 is check. And knight f2 is not legal. I guess I'm still winning if I just go bishop f6, for example. But yeah, nice resourcefulness. But mainly, knight b3 didn't make a lot of sense. Just keep building the pressure here. And, you know, anything can happen. Good game by the Commutator. And looking for another strong challenger. Let's try this one. Master time. FIDE Master. It is FIDE Master time. 2751. Oof. I have to focus. And it's a 3-minute game. Please, I'm saying this every show now, strong players. Challenge me to 5-minute games, because that gives me some time to talk at least. While if it's a 3-minute game, then yeah, I just have to focus on playing in order not to lose on time, which makes it a lot less fun for all of us. But it looks like Master Time is also not around, so I'm gonna have to abort this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, abort. But yeah, please do me a favor and challenge me to 5-minute games, because yeah, it's more fun for all of us. Well, yeah, 3-minute games. We're down to a minute so quickly, and I just have to sit there and make moves. Not as exciting. I'll play ABC Xavier. Charles Xavier? I don't know. In the meantime, ABC Xavier. Xavier, it's not a common, but it's a first name you once in a while hear in Germany or in the US as well. Now, I guess there it's more with an I, right? Xavier. Of course, Javier with a J, much more common, but I think I've come across some Xaviers. Looks like Xavier is also not with us, though. Okay, I'm gonna abort. And who is around? Maybe the Nox X. The Nox, by the way, is a band I enjoy. Nox X. If I was more cultured, I could probably figure out what numbers he has in his name. Nox IX? What is IX? IX is a German monthly computer magazine published by the Heise Verlag. Yeah, I've seen that. And it is, that's what I was really asking, because I don't know the Roman numerals. It's a Roman numeral for the number 9. That makes sense. 10 minus 1. But he's also not there. Is anybody there? Why do you challenge me, guys, if you're not here? This sort of takes the fun out of it. Then again, I can't really expect everybody to stick to their computers for 90 minutes, since you never know if I will play you or not. I'll just keep clicking on names until someone dares to show up. Maybe Marottrero, the tricky magician from Spain, is here. Oh, a move. Knight f6. Who would have thought? c5, I'll dare to go d5 on this special day. He goes b6. Was that a mouse slip? Did you intend to go b5, but didn't find the strength to go all the way? I have a feeling that's probably what happened. But you never know, because yeah, the b6, of course, the Benko is a well-established line. In b5, the Benko is a well-established line in that position. Well, b6, I don't know, I'm feeling a little frisky already. Might try to punish this by going e5. Of course, a more sane way to play is just cd or ed, maintaining a space advantage and a very good position. But e5 looked interesting. One key trick is after d4, ef, dc, I have queen e2 check. Typical motive. And knight g8 is typically also not. What do you want to play? I don't know, maybe queen d5 was even stronger, but I'm satisfied with cd. And now... How do I punish him for his many sins? e6 is the first move you look at. Bishop b5 followed by e6. Haven't really seen a win yet, but it's too tempting to pass up. I don't know about e6 actually. Might be a bit too goofy. I could have just played f4 or knight f3, keeping an edge, but this felt like, yeah. He was asking for it, and ask and you shall be given. Oof, why don't I take the rook? Come on, Jan, that's not impossible, even for you. Queen f3, queen takes a8. Not that hard, especially because I had planned queen f3 in some other line, bishop d7, de, bishop b5, I wanted queen f3. So that is a tiny bit embarrassing. Not that my position is terrible now, but queen f3 is not that hard a move to make. How do I win now? Let's stay in reality, back to life. Bishop c4. Looks pretty decent. Winning by pinning, but still, I'm a little ashamed. Nah, not really. That I let this go. And Marottrero does not seem to want to part ways with this game either. So, you know what? Let's keep the party going. Why not? It's pretty unpleasant to play for blacks, given that he's piece down and losing the house. And yeah, Marottrero does resign. Nering, who seems to be a very wise man to me, is saying trying is the first step toward failure. That is the motto I've tried to live my life by as well. If you fight, you might lose. Someone told me that's only the first sentence of the saying, and then there is a punchline, the second one, like whatever. If you don't fight, you lose for sure. But I've always decided to only stick to the first part of it. If you fight, you might lose. Don't want to lose. So, no fighting. But I'm not sure. Kids, if you're listening, you might want to Google if maybe that is not the message that was intended by that saying. Do I have more time to play stuff? Yeah, we got like 1 or 2 more games in us. Probably even 2. And speaking of Homer Simpson, got lucky there, because I would have chosen a stronger player, Mr. Flanders. But speaking of Homer Simpson, gotta go with you. Ned Flanders from Spain. Didn't know he was from Spain. I suspected he might be from Shelbyville or somewhere, but from Spain, that is surprising. Even though... I don't know. I'm trying to find some Spain connection for Ned Flanders, but can't get there. Even the name itself doesn't sound very Spanish. He does play the trendy London system, slightly less trendy in this move order. Normally people nowadays want to do it without knight on f3, so they can go e3, c3, knight c2, knight d2 against this aggressive c5 setup. It looks like Ned Flanders was shocked by my c5. Maybe he was looking for his theory book, Winning with the London System. I don't know if that's a book, but I'm assuming it's out there. In a corner of his room, and it said, go knight c3, then if this dumb grandmaster misses it, you can go knight b5, knight c7 check, and crush him. Will I miss it though? Nah. Well, I don't think a6 is the only good move here. Here I'm actually in time to just develop my bishop, bishop g4, or bishop f5, knight b5, rook c8. But generally, whenever there's knight c3, some alarm sign should go off in your head. And you want to think at least if knight b5 is a threat. CD, my move order is slightly goofy. I have a feeling that now knight takes d4 is a good move. And there he goes, trying to open the position a bit. After CD, ED, the structure gets fixed and this knight on c3 is just misplaced. But knight takes d4, I do like this decision here. H3, bishop e7. People are telling me I have to stick around to get to 3100 goals in life. But wouldn't it be more exciting if we have a cliffhanger? Then I can play for the 3100 in the first game of the next show. I don't know. Depends who I play next game. Maybe. I don't really know how the math works. I'm pretty sure against Ned Flanders I can only win 1 point, which some people would argue It's too many. And some people would argue, they might be right, that my rating might be slightly inflated because I'm playing too many opponents where I will pretty much gain 1 point all the time. What was my point? My point was I'm not sure who I would need to play to win 2 points. So I have a feeling we might get a cliffhanger for next show. Now I was wondering. So hard to calculate. Knight d7 is a move I would like to play. Bishop g7. Bishop c5. Queen g4. Nah, it doesn't work. That is a pity. Alright, I'll be humble. Very humble. Ned Flanders, by the way, playing well. Not that I'm surprised by Ned Flanders' capacity to play chess, but so far, perfectly sensible. Would probably crush everybody in Springfield. I don't know, who'd be the best chess player in Springfield? Probably would be Lisa, I would guess, in the show. But they just had this chess episode where Homer was a bit of a chess champion, right? And he got the Skype call from Magnus to inspire him to stick with it. I haven't seen the whole episode, I've just seen the Skype call. So maybe Homer is actually the best chess player. What other obvious candidates would be there? There is this crazy scientist, what's his name? Don't know his name. Can't really picture Bart as any good at chess. March also doesn't seem overly interested in such frivolous activities. Milhouse is nerdy, but he's never really shown the ability to excel at anything. Director Skinner, nah, he wouldn't be allowed to go out to the chess club. I don't know. I'm missing some very obvious chess players in the Springfield verse. Chief Wiggum, probably not very good. Professor Frink, is that what he's called? A3, D4. And Nox IX, Nox the Ninth says, after I accepted his challenge, Firefox JavaScript made his Firefox crash. I'm not a big expert on any of the tech stuff. I've been told, I believe, that there's been some bugs with Firefox. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you what browser to use. I'm using Chrome and there it tends to work fine normally. But yeah, I don't have a clue. But I've heard some stories that sometimes there's weirdness with Firefox. So apologies, Nox IX, if there was a problem on the Chess24 end. As for this position, yes, Ned Flanders still playing well. Hasn't done anything dumb. So if they don't do anything dumb, it's hard to get a better position. I've grabbed some space in the center and I'm not in trouble or anything, but so far, all very sensible moves. A4, even this is fine. Mr. Flanders, why are you 1368? You're playing well. What is this now? You're showing off with some tactics that I missed? That's even worse. Not just playing well, out-calculating me. I missed knight takes b5. I guess I'm still in the game. But, yeah. More power to you. But don't you ever forget about the power of the flag. En passant. You're not aware of the en passant rule? You're playing like a big champion and then you don't know en passant? That's all very confusing, Ned Flanders. And he pre-moved bishop c4 combined with the draw offer, which I'm gonna have to politely decline and take the rook. But yeah, looks like he forgot about this nasty en passant thing in the heat of the battle. Which I was gonna say has happened to all of us, but no, it hasn't. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just surprised because he had played so well that far. That this would happen. As for this position, I'm pretty strong with 2 extra rooks. And ahead on the clock. And therefore, Ned Flanders does resign. Played a great game until this en passant ident. Clash City Rocker says Apu would be the best player. That's possible, yeah. Apu, I have a feeling he could be a good chess player indeed. Sideshow Bob, he never really wins at anything, right? But yes, I could see him like being sort of a big student of the game. Maybe he'd be a good second, like an analyst. But you wouldn't want to have him play against Bart for Bart's life or whatnot, because you feel like something's gonna go wrong, right? Still, probably still my favorite all-time Simpsons episode, Cape Fear with an E. Sideshow Bob. And his Die Bart died too. Alright, one last game. Let's play against Old T27. Getting a lot of whites today, ain't I? Maybe it's just law of averages. I felt like I got a lot of blacks last game. But last game here against Mr. Ulti, 2300. This is probably not a wise rating for me to play, because I have a feeling I still only get 1 point, and I have a feeling he's also a good player. So there's 2 dangers there. Blitzing out all the theory here in the Maron. I've played all the moves here, a3, short castles, or e4. With mixed success. But since I played a lot of Maron with black as well, I always feel kind of comfortable in these positions. a6 is possible. I've played this move myself as well. An old game against Spanish very strong Grandmaster Iescas. The thing is, if the structure gets fixed, and it's more or less impossible for black to get in c5 now, then you have to look for other ways to create play, which is not always easy. Knight b6 is sort of tempting me to take here. Can I resist that temptation? Yeah, I think I should resist it. Yeah, so far so good. Since, yeah, c5 is out of the question, as long as I don't lose my b4 pawn. And sometimes even if I do lose my b4 pawn, white tends to be a little better here because his bishop is so passive. But still, these positions are very tough to play. For both sides, in my experience at least. Very tricky strategically. For now, I'll just put my pieces on squares that I feel make sense. And h6 is kind of provoking me into action, isn't it? I have a feeling after h6 I should do something active in the form of this move, threatening a check here. I guess he has to go g6. I don't have a direct punishment. I thought I had a direct punishment of g6, but maybe I didn't. Goes f5. When still no direct punishment. Feels very punish-worthy what he's doing. I have a feeling a series of checks will be quite inconvenient for black here. Start with this one. King f8, it's mate in 2 as far as I can tell. Check, check, so he has to go king f7. And then I have to work out what's cruelest. Knight e5 check is, of course, the most natural move. King e8. When, I don't know, it looks like it's winning. I could also go bishop g6, rook g6, knight e5, king e8. Queen g6. Yeah, maybe that's easiest. Or, I don't know. But it looks good enough at the very least. Probably I missed some mate in two, but these things happen. At least to me, they happen frequently. Alright, how do we get the job done here? I don't feel like I need this knight. Problem for black is not only is he material down, his king is also not particularly safe. Like currently I'm threatening queen d7, checkmate, with knight c6 and stuff like that. Also very much legal options, so yeah, it's not a fun position to play, to put it mildly. I don't really see any defense even to the immediate threats. Of queen c8 I was gonna say go queen g8 and take on d5. Now I can if I chose to take on d5 immediately. Yeah, what you got is what you got. Is that what they say? Maybe it's once again time to quote the good old saying, if you can take a rook or give checkmate, always take the rook, because you might be able to give checkmate later. And Ulti27 does resign. Thanks for the game, Ulti. And I believe, I was gonna say that brings us to the end of the show. But, shall I play one more to reach that magic rating? I don't know. Alright, it's too big of an achievement to turn it down. I'll click on one more name randomly and we're gonna play for all the marbles. Trying to click without looking, but that normally makes it tough to hit something. Did I? Yeah, here we go. SC Leo. Oh, I'm nervous, but I kind of, you never know. I'm always reluctant to say, okay, I'm gonna win this one because the guy is 15 something. Because 1596 could mean that he just started and he's really a 2800 player who's only played a couple games. It could also mean that he's not around. Maybe that's a sign. I should wrap it up. SC Leo is not with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abort. And yeah, that is a clear sign that we should have the cliffhanger for next show. Thank you guys for watching this one. I hope I can sleep well, knowing I'm so close to these 3100. What else do I have to tell you? Not much. I still haven't, wrapped up. No, I still haven't continued my cinematic exploits. I want to see the new Kong, because, it's a big ape. And I still haven't seen John Wick 2, so I'll try to make progress on those fronts. I feel like I'm catching a slight cold. At least I sound more nasal in my head, if that makes sense. Which probably doesn't. Yeah. Some strong jokes here for the finish. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye.